Do you often know when someone's crowd is watching you and look across just as they glance away? Do you have the feeling someone's behind you, yet turn to find nothing? These are common occurrences for everyone and are often quickly forgotten as soon as the mind realizes there's no threat. But when your eyes catch a glimpse of movement, the slightest out-of-place shape, or the smallest source of unexpected light, fear can take hold. Maybe all you saw was your shadow from the dim lights. Or maybe the shadow wasn't yours. All opaque objects cast a shadow, depriving the world behind them of light. Shadows can give a wealth of information about what lays ahead of us, or betray our next move. But what truly frightens us even today is when shadows appear to move upon their own volition. They are not a tangible object that can be interacted with, so how do you stop them? Enter the shadow mechanic from Tempest block as we discuss the hidden entities beyond the veil on MTG Folklore. During the Phyrexian invasion of Dominaria in the Magic storyline, the god Yawgmoth created an artificial plane called Wrath that could constantly expand its own mass using an intelligent substance called Flowstone. Positioned in a pocket universe next to Dominaria, Wrath eventually expanded to a sufficient mass that the two planes began to merge, causing some Dominarian species to get trapped in the void between the two planes and appear as shadows. Visible, but unreachable. In-game, this is represented by creatures with shadow only being able to be blocked by other creatures with shadow, however they can still interact with artifacts and enchantments as normal. You can't touch them, but they can hurt you. Shadowy beings are a common occurrence in folklore. However, the imaginatively named shadow people are a far more recent phenomenon. Becoming part of popular culture thanks to the Coast to Coast AM radio talk show back in April 2001, shadow people often are described as dark silhouettes of a humanoid shape that flicker in and out of peripheral vision. While often considered a ghostly entity, shadow people have been given a number of explanations, from lost souls devoid of knowing or fear to demons or even aliens. The story, however, is as old as time itself. Late at night, out of the corner of your eye, you see something, someone, and then they are gone. Except for when they don't leave. Many people have reported witnessing entities enter their room as they sleep, watching them. It's a common nightmare scenario that plays on our oldest fears from our caveman days and has been retold in numerous forms. In medieval times there were tales of succubus and their male counterpart the incubus, who would not only attack but seduce sleeping victims. Similar creatures occur around the world, with the German Elp sucking blood or milk from the nipples of sleeping humans, or the Turkish jinn holding and strangling victims as they sleep. These creatures are often said to sit on the victim's chest and cut off their ability to breathe, such as the Da Cho in Laos or the Old Hag in the Americas. Regardless of the creature witnesses report awakening to, they are often unable to move, as these entities move through the room seemingly unbound by physical laws or objects. Victims report everything from paralysis to the inability to breathe, sometimes the result of direct strangulation. Morbid, I know, but this can't all be cutesy number facts. Some can call for help, while some can simply look away and the nightmare will end just as it started. But the end result is always the same. So where do these stories come from? There are currently 3 likely causes for these events, and they depend on the severity of the encounter. Firstly is the human mind's innate ability for pattern recognition. Much like we think we can see a face on the moon, in stonework, or in the branches of trees, the human mind will attempt to distinguish any threat it can determine in a low-light situation, hence why you are likely to identify entities that aren't there. As a test, tonight I want you to lie on your bed in pitch black and keep your eyes wide open on a single point. Watch as they adapt and more detail begins to appear, the contrast between the shadows and the furniture growing, and just wait. Sooner or later, you will see a face. Similar psychological tests have been run on subjects in absolute pitch black, a situation where the brain has absolutely no visual input. Even with nothing to go on, they will tend to panic and claim they feel a presence, despite there being absolutely nothing. Secondly is the phenomenon of sleep paralysis, where individuals experience a temporary inability to speak or move while waking or falling asleep. The most prominent explanation for this is the disruption of REM sleep while the body has induced complete muscle atonia to stop the sleeper acting out their dreams. The individual will become consciously awake but not yet have control of their limbs, causing confusion. Unable to understand what is happening, the brain will start looking for what is pinning them down, causing them to incorrectly identify shadows as demonic entities attacking them. As a fear response is triggered, the panic makes the vision more vivid, and gives rise to this shadow person or demon they later recall. Historically, these symptoms match stories of the incubus or succubus encounters, as well as more recent advent of alien abductions. The condition even has its own card via Shadows over Innistrad, tapping down a creature and stopping it untapping with the flavor text, "Sleep doesn't always mean rest." The opposite situation of sleep deprivation is also a condition proven to increase the likelihood of hallucination. Methamphetamine addicts are especially prone to this and can go a long way towards explaining these encounters outside of sleep. Lastly, the belief that these creatures can cause actual deaths can be attributed to sudden unexpected death syndrome or bed death, a condition most common in Asia with currently no established causes. In many languages, this is named after the creatures once said to cause it, such as the Da Shou. Regardless, there are groups of paranormal enthusiasts who put forward a third explanation: shadow beings. Shadow people are beings displaced from their own reality or dimension, trapped between worlds. Perhaps there are other realities we don't understand that do exist just beyond the veil, and maybe it's slowly leaking through. Or perhaps, like Dominaria, we are losing some of our own. But hey, at least it's not horsemanship. MTG Folklore is written and performed by Bryan in partnership with the NerdSpace group. The music from this episode is Darkest Child by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons. For more information on NerdSpace and to get involved in future events, visit facebook.com/nerdspaceofficial or osnerdspace.wordpress.com.